On the 1st of March 2013, Marussia announced the signing of Jules Bianchi. After a superb performance throughout the year, in October 2013, Marussia confirmed that Jules would stay with the team for the 2014 season. Sunday, the 5th of October 2014, the Japanese Grand Prix. A typhoon was coming, but Formula One bosses chose not to start the race early. It was started at the normal time, and it was started behind the safety car due to the torrential rain. The race was red flagged on lap 2. After 20 minutes, the race was restarted. By lap 40, it was obviously too dangerous to race. The rain was getting heavier and it was getting darker. Visibility was non-existent, but the race continued. Lap 42. Adrian Sutil loses control of his Sauber at the Dunlop curve, causing a recovery vehicle to be deployed onto the track. At this point, the safety car should have come out, or even have the race red flagged. Instead, the race continued with only localized yellows. Lap 43. Jules Bianchi loses control of the number 17 Marussia at the Dunlop curve. He veered off the track out of control into the back of the recovery vehicle. The impact was recorded at 212 km per hour. It generated 92 Gs. Jules was unconscious, not responding to marshals or team radio. He was transported to hospital by ambulance as helicopters couldn't fly due to the weather. 32 minutes later, he arrived at a local Japanese hospital where he underwent emergency surgery. He was then placed into a medically induced coma. He was removed from the coma in November 2014 and therefore began breathing unaided. He was then able to be transferred to a hospital in his local town of Nice, France. On the 17th of July 2015, Jules Bianchi passed away.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again. Why'd you have to leave so soon, yeah? Why'd you have to go? Why'd you have to leave me when I needed you the most? 'Cause I don't really know how to tell you without feeling much worse. I know you're in a better place, but it's always gonna hurt. Carry on, give me all the strength I need to carry on. It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again. It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you
We have P9, very good race, Jules.
When I see you again.
What's going on, everyone? Xfitcher here, and welcome to a new series on my channel. I'm sure you've all heard, 5 days ago, Jules Bianchi passed away from his injuries sustained in the 2014 Japanese Grand Prix. To pay my respects, I completed the tribute hot lap around Monaco that Harrison 101 came up with. Firstly, I'd like to say it's amazing. I looked in the comments because he said everyone link me their videos. It's amazing just to see how many people have actually completed in that, but for me, to say goodbye to Jules one lap was not enough, and I've decided I want to do an entire career. Now before we start, somehow in this series, I haven't made up my mind yet, but I will be somehow donating money to the Henry Surtees Foundation, which was also mentioned in Harrison 101's video. I'm not sure how I'm going to go about that. I might do based on how many points I score or something. It depends how I'm going. And when I make up my mind, I will go back through the episodes before, when I hadn't made up my mind, and pay up for those episodes. So don't think because I haven't made up my mind now, I'm not going to pay up for Australia if I do well, etc. But now, just before we start, we'll have 1 minute of silence, and then we'll get straight into the action. Thanks.
Round one of the Formula One season begins today with practice here in a wet Melbourne. The teams will put behind them the issues from pre-season testing. What matters now is what the teams do this weekend. Joining me in the commentary box this season is Anthony Davidson. In total, the teams will be visiting 19 tracks this year, including some old favourites and 2 new locations.
Well, I think the teams will be looking forward to the new Russian Grand Prix, which is being held at the Olympic Park in Sochi. It's a brand new track and a total unknown. We're also going back to Austria, which was last raced in 2003, so this should be a lot of fun this year.
This year's most significant change is to the loud thing behind the driver's head. Gone are the cries of the old V8 engines. In their place, monstrous torque from the new turbocharged 1.6-litre V6 hybrids. An efficient and exciting new power unit to usher in a new age of Formula One.
The sport is trying to become a bit more fuel efficient, which is a good thing, but there are definite question marks over whether the new noise of these V6 cars are to the tastes of the fans.
Okay guys, we're here for the first practice session of the season. We're here in Melbourne, and man, this was a really tough session for me. First of all, it was raining. Second of all, I hadn't driven this car before. Third of all, I haven't even driven a 2014 car this season. And it was really hard. It took me a lot of time. I was on track for like the entire 30-minute practice session trying to get used to this Marussia. But I was when I say on the track the entire time, I wasn't exactly on the track the entire time, if you know what I mean. But in the end of it, I managed to, I wouldn't say get used to the car, but I managed to set the 14th fastest time, so I was pretty happy with that.
The Mercedes team will be pleased pleased with their two drivers at the end of today's practice. That's P1 and P2. Welcome to Melbourne, where qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix should be getting underway shortly. With the first qualifying session of the season about to start, we should find out the performance level of the new cars and who might be contenders for this year's championship. But with rain falling, it's going to mix up the field.
We expect the Mercedes power unit to be strong this season, but with today's weather, we may not get a true indication of which team came out strongest from pre-season testing.
We're here in qualifying and we jump right to the end of my first flying lap, and it is wet just like practice, intermediate conditions again, and with my first lap I go P2, but as you can probably tell, I was about the second person to set a lap, and as you can see I'm already quickly falling back through the order. I jump to the end of the very next lap and we do not improve, sadly, and after this we go for another lap, but these conditions were really tricky. I was coming off a lot, and as you can see now, I'm starting to gain a train behind me as I actually go faster, but lose a position at the same time as more people are setting laps. Now we jump to the end of qualifying after a stint in the pits. Raikkonen is trying to pass me as I do not improve, but I don't know what he's doing. It was a really, piss weak attempt to try and get past me. He backs out of it on the apex or something, I don't even know. I just drive straight past him, trying to set one last lap, see if I can improve on my current 14th place as we go through the car park section. He's still right behind me at this stage, and I was just completely ignoring him. I was pushing as hard as I could, trying to set a qualifying lap. As you can see, as I'm now down in the first sector from him going around my ass. Oh, we make contact! We make contact at the exact same spot as me and Jason did in the first episode of Co-op Career. If you haven't already seen that, go check that out after this. But unfortunately, that is my qualifying over.
It's been a mighty qualifying performance from Mercedes today, with both cars on the front row for the race tomorrow.
Well, it's going to be an interesting race towards the first corner tomorrow, because whoever leads into turn 2 will be in a very strong position to go on and win.
So that is qualifying over. As you can see, I've qualified P14, comfortably ahead of my teammate, the Snail, who was back in P21. As you can see, I did get a couple warnings, and neither of me or Raikkonen got any sort of warning for our incident. But as you can see, I'm ahead of the likes of Grosjean and Kvyat, so that was a strong first qualifying session, and as you can see, I am a good amount faster than my teammate and where I should be on the grid.
The crowd are here and here in force for what is going to be a fantastic day of racing. Welcome to the Australian Grand Prix. What a great start to the season for Nico Rosberg. He's on pole for today's race. He'll be delighted with how qualifying went yesterday, but knows there's a lot of hard work to come before he can secure that race win.
Well, Nico will be focused on the task at hand. He's on pole position, he's proven his speed, and if he can just stay out in front, he should be able to create a gap. So I think he's got a good chance of victory today, as long as he has no car issues along the way.
With its raw speed, the Williams is looking great this weekend, and the way Valtteri Bottas is driving, well, I wouldn't bet against him securing his first ever podium finish today.
Valtteri has been dialed into the track in every session. I really feel that he can challenge the Mercedes today and potentially get on the podium.
We're on the grid, revving up to 5 red lights, and we're off for the Australian Grand Prix here in Melbourne as we get a terrible start. Well, not terrible, but a bad one, as the cars in front start to pull away. As you can see, the cars behind starting to try and get past me, but I throw it up the inside, try and give some space to the Toro Rossos and the Force Indias. As you can see, because of my compromised line through there, I get a bad drive off the corner with the Toro Rossos, both of them going past me. They head down turn 3, massive lunge down the inside of both Toro Rossos and Perez. running side by side, but I back out of it and let Perez go in front. But I have got the 2 Toro Rossos in that move. So we now run in single file down to the end of the first sector. And I go down the inside of Sergio Perez, but he tries holding around the outside, but he backs out of it now. And I have him done up to P12 after 1 sector of this race. Now the goal is to try and catch Nico Hülkenberg and the train in front of me. We now jump on board with John-Eric Vergne, 2 cars behind me. You can see Sergio Perez pulls to my outside as we run down to the fast left-right. And then he backs out of it, and then he makes contact with John-Eric Vergne, sending him into the gravel trap. Oh, drama on the first lap. As we now jump back on board with me, as we are trying to close up on this train in front that consists of 2 Ferraris, 2 McLarens, and a Nico Hülkenberg by the looks of it. Trying to catch them, but it looks like I'm now starting to pull away from the cars behind after that impact. I am rapidly catching up to these guys as they're all sort of fighting and, like, you know what I mean? We now run down the main straight to end the first lap of this race. We now skip to lap 4. I've stuck with this train as we start the second sector. As we run around right behind Nico Hülkenberg. As you can see, I have a big gap to Sergio Perez behind. But Nico Hülkenberg brakes ultra early, and I have to make a half-hearted move out of that, because otherwise it's going to rear-end him. We now fall back into line, as we have now dropped slightly off the pack in front, unfortunately. We jump to the end of the start of lap 5. We have fallen back off the pack, but I've got the run on Nico Hülkenberg, as I have a little moment out of turn 2. I've got DRS. I'm really close, but because of the straight line speed of this manor, I just can't keep up with him, even with DRS and slipstream. As we run through turns 3 and 4, the car park section, staying behind him, trying to line him up for a move coming down into turn 6, I believe it is. We use up all the track there, try and get a better exit, and we throw it up the inside of Nico Hülkenberg here, and we've got the move down. No! We've made contact! I'm in the wall! I've lost my front wing. We've made contact. Oh, drama. We've lost our front wing. Let's have another look at that, the replay cam. You can see me pull to the inside, and look, he backs almost fully out of it, and then puts his nose back on my outside as I'm trying to shut the door on him. Now we run on board with Nico Hülkenberg. He's pretty much fully behind me, and then he just sticks it back in there. Like, what's he doing? Now, in Melbourne, because it's a road circuit, the white lines are actually real road lines, so they actually use the yellow lines as the edge of the track. And as you can clearly see, at the moment we make contact, he has all 4 wheels off the track. Therefore, that incident is his fault. Now I am fighting the car back to the pits, coming around. I'm almost there, and Kobayashi's just punted me off into the gravel. Like, seriously, Kobayashi, just let's have a look at this. I'm just minding my own business on the edge of the track, trying to hold it on, and he just hits me. Look, it just hits me. He could have given me some space there. Like, seriously, guys. What is this Japanese guy thinking? But that's really wrecked our race. And this has turned into it's going to be a recovery drive from here on out. As we now come into the pits for a new front wing. And I'm not sure which tyre we actually fitted. But we're getting a new front wing as we now cut to some footage of the 2 Mercedes fighting. This is the same lap but earlier, so I'm not getting lapped, just to clarify that, as we now ride on the side of Hamilton's car as he is behind Nico Rosberg as they run down to turn 3. He's got his DRS open, he pulls to the inside of Nico. It looks like he's going to have the move done, but Nico Rosberg holds it around his outside, and now will have the inside line for the next corner, and Hamilton's trying to stick it on the outside. He's got it because now he's got the line. Ooh, he's given him space. They're still running side by side as they head down to turn 6. Lewis tries to squeeze Nico out, but he tries to keep it there. And they give each other great room. This is amazing racing as now they run up to, I'm not sure which corner number it is now. I'm getting too excited. And Hamilton's back up the inside of Rosberg. This is incredible racing. As now it looks like Lewis is going to have to concede to Nico. Yes, he does concede to Nico, and he falls in behind, back into the slipstream as they run down to the fast left-right corner. It's now... Wait, what is Lewis doing? He pulls off to the side of the track and just retires. He's out of the race. As now, as you can see, we have fitted option tyres to our car. And as you can see now, if you look up in the top left, there is only 21 runners left as Lewis Hamilton is out of this race. As you can see, I am last at the moment. We now skip to lap 8. I'm up into 20th, past Vern in the pit stops. As we now are starting to close up on Hulkenberg again, as he is just pitted in front of us. But we try and close up to him, but it's going to be a struggle as he has fresher tyres as he's just come out of the pits. But I can't see on this replay, on my footage where I'm watching back, but I can't tell what tyre he's got on. But either way, it's going to be hard to catch up to him. I'm going to have to try and pass him while he's on cold tyres. I'm getting right behind him. He's brake checked me. We made contact. I don't think I have any front wing damage, thankfully. No, there is no front wing damage, thankfully. But he now starts to get away from me. As you can see, we jump to lap 11 now. Hulkenberg has caught my teammate Max Chilton and passed him. And now I am starting to catch up to Chilton, get on the back of him. As I just get told by Jeff, I need to pit in this lap for new options, I believe it is. We now sit behind Chilton, looking to get past him. We think about it, but we're way too far back, obviously. But he's going very slow through the corner. It's just getting in my way, as now I just get frustrated and put my foot down too hard and have a big moment there as we come to the end of this lap. Plus, these tyres were starting to get a bit warm by now as we pitted 5 or 6 laps ago, as we now duck into the pit lane to fit some new tyres. We slowed down to the 60k an hour speed limit here in Melbourne, trundled down the pit lane. Pit lane is dead, as I was now on an alternate strategy after my incident with the front wing, as I had now had to swap from my original 2-stop plan to a 3-stop plan for the rest of this race, because of course my early pit stop because of the Hulkenberg incident. But I'm now back in 20th. I'm still in front of John Eric Verne by the looks of things.
Rosberg's really going for it. He's just put in the best lap of the race so far.
A bit of a moment there. Now we actually cut onto some footage of Sebastian Vettel trying to lap Verne, and he just rear ends him and puts Verne in the wall. And then a second later, we've got Felipe Massa, and there's Verne just in the middle of the track, and he T-bones him and loses his front wing. Oh, drama as the two Red Bulls are trying to one Red Bull is trying to pass the second team Red Bull. And there's drama, as I am now, as you can tell, being lapped as Sutil. I don't know what he is doing, touching the wall, trying to get Rosberg through, but he runs really wide, and I take that position comfortably. As you can see, I am now up into P17 on lap 17, as it looks like we have Nico Hulkenberg behind us and catching again. We now run down towards turn 3, as he now will have DRS on me. I assume he's that close, and he's got the run on me. I try and defend, but it's just too late. And he's got me straight up the inside. I try and give him some space, but I then hold it around the outside. Got the inside line for the next turn. I have a massive moment, and he just has the line. But then he goes really slowly, and we have a little tap, but it's nothing. Now we jump to lap 18. As you can see, we're coming in for our 3rd pit stop of this race, I'm pretty sure now, to fit the prime tyres, obviously, as every other stint has been on the options. As you can see, Ricciardo is leading the race, but that is because he is out of sync with the pit stops. And I believe Nico Rosberg is still leading and unchallenged now that Lewis is out of the race. And what are my pit crew doing? Like, serious guys, you knew I was coming in. You have the most time to prepare out of any team, and you're still not ready for me. Oh, I'm sorry, that stop was really pathetic. And now we have to go right to the end. Another 10 laps on these primes will go to the end, as we are now in P20 of 21. And we are getting blue flags, unfortunately. It looks like a Valtteri Bottas behind us as we come down to turn 3. And he just dives at me. I didn't even see him coming, and I've spun him. But as I looked on the race director at the end of the actual race, he got the warning for that. As we see Kimi Raikkonen passing Felipe Massa up the inside into turn 1, as they're now running side by side. Well, there's a Toro Rosso and an Adrian Sutil running side by side in front of them. This is great racing from the AI. It's amazing to see this. You never usually see this. As Massa tries to hold it around the outside of Kimi Raikkonen, but he has to concede into the exit of turn 3. But now it's going to be chaotic, as the Sauber and the Toro Rosso have to try and let these two battling out while they battle themselves. God, this is chaotic, as Sutil's trying to let Raikkonen through by the looks of things, and now he pulls over to let Massa through. Oh, he's in the wall! And Massa's in the wall! Massa's out of this race after that crash. Massa is out of the race after an incident with Adrian Sutil trying to lap him. As you can see, now onto lap 22. I am in P18. As you can see, I have Kobayashi and my teammate Max Chilton in front of me. Now into the hairpin, turn 15. I just dive it up the inside of Kobayashi, but he holds it around my outside into the final corner, and almost make contact there. As he does give me room this time, thankfully, and I just get the better drive as I had the wider line, making like I can carry more speed. Got the better drive as we now go into the first corner. Using all the track that I can, as now I have DRS on my teammate Max Chilton. We're lap 23, breaking down into turn 3, I think it is. Yes, turn 3. As we now getting blue flags and trying to pass our teammate, and this part of the race was really tough, trying to battle cars for actual positions while we're getting lapped. As I thought about a move down the inside there, but Max really surprised me with how late he actually braked there. I was surprised, and as you can see, I wasn't in there enough. I just couldn't get the move done. I'm now getting blue flags still. I can't tell who that is behind me. There is a yellow flag zone in front of me. And that's Daniel Ricciardo in the wall. As we jump on board to a replay on board with Daniel Ricciardo. Maldonado spun in front of him. He's taking him out in the process. Wow, I'm glad this game's realistic. Maldonado spinning all on his own and taking out Daniel Ricciardo in the process, as now he reverses off the track to get out of the way. Now we jump back on board as I try to pass Max Chilton as we go green again. It looks like I've got the move done. A little glitch in the recording there. Don't know what's happened. And Maldonado's going very slowly after the incident in the apex of the first right-hander, and I get him as well in all this shambolic action. We now head down to the penultimate corner as we've got yellow flags. I believe Valtteri Bottas has got hit off there at the third last corner, as we now jump to the start of the very last lap, and we're just going to ride on board for this entire lap in silence.
Racing the car behind. Let them past when you can.
And that's a win for Nico Rosberg at the Australian Grand Prix here in Melbourne. What a result for this German driver.
What a fantastic result for Nico. He'll be so happy to start the season on such a positive note.
After all that excitement, it's time for a lie down, I think. Thanks for joining us, and goodbye until the next race.
Nico Rosberg has won the Grand Prix from the two Ferraris of Fernando Alonso and Kimi Raikkonen. As you can see, I finished P14 with Hulkenberg in front and Max Chilton, my teammate, behind me, with the normal suspects down the back. And as you can see, Lewis Hamilton and Felipe Massa both DNF'd from this race. But this, in my opinion, was a good finish, P14 for the first round of the season. I did fail the team objective of P11, but in my books, it was a good finish. I finished where I qualified, so I haven't gone backwards, and I'm happy with that. I hope you guys have enjoyed this first episode of the Jules Bianchi tribute career. Make sure you do subscribe to see episode 2. And may you forever rest in peace, Jules.